trying to remember the first movie I ever came to here was, I think it was Cinderella for the matinee performance. Remembering Mr. Henry Pavid, who would play the organ here before the performance, and then when the curtains parted, he would stop playing. He would go somewhere. I don't know where he went, but he would leave, and then at the end of the movie, quite often he would come back and play. And I remember not even really thinking much about him being here. He was just part of the matinee performance experience. He was just part of the entertainment, part of the package, I guess, that went with coming to see a movie here as a kid. I think it felt like, I don't know, like quite a big deal to come and see a movie, like after having had a little black and white TV in your living room, to coming and seeing it so big and in color. Yeah, it was a pretty special experience. I think it was quite a big deal to come and see something that big in color, not like I say on the little black and white TV where the screen might have been, what, 10 or 12, not very big. Yeah, the specialness, being able to get something to eat, a box of popcorn, and was a lot less expensive then. You could get things for like under $0.25. Oh, and I remember the Macintosh toffee. My parents never bought it and brought it into our home, but that was something that I almost always got, was the Macintosh toffee, and I associated that with coming to the theater. I try to remember the cost. You know, it was maybe 75 cents or $1 to come. I had a group of neighborhood friends that we were sort of, not a gang, but we hung out together, and quite often we would come together. We had permission from our parents to come, and that was usually in the afternoon. I don't remember ever coming in the evening until I got older. My mom and I came, just the two of us, maybe 7 or 8, to see My Fair Lady, Rodgers and Hammerstein, My Fair Lady. And my mom made it into such a big deal. It was like everything had to be just right, and complete with the white cotton gloves and the hat. I think I even had to wear a hat. It was going to the theater. This was as close to going to the theater for Paul River as, you know, somebody in the city. This was a big deal. I think I was 14 when Woodstock was here, and my dad drove my friend and I here and dropped us off and said, well, he would be back in a couple of hours after the show to pick us up, so that was fine. We're coming out of the theater, and my friend says, oh look, I think that's your dad. And he was parked front row and center, but he'd gone home and he'd borrowed my mom's wig and put on a bunch of necklaces. And my friend said, she didn't want to get in. He was mocking the culture, and it was my dad's sense of humor. And he said, well, do you want to ride or not? And my friend said, I don't think I want to get in. There's too many people looking, you know, and people were coming out, and being a small town, there was a lot of people knew my dad and knew me, and finally, I think he drove around the block and came back and said, well, are you sure you don't want to ride? And I said, well, by this point, yeah, we're thinking we're going to end up walking home if we don't get in the truck with my dad. But he drove us home, my friend and I, with the wig on. And my dad was almost bald. He'd borrowed my mom's wig and the beads. And that's how I remember Woodstock, coming out of Woodstock. I would have been grade 9, and back then, kind of a hippie wannabe, and was sort of just on the fringe. And a lot of the people that were here were people I was in school with, was in high school with. And older people who perhaps were real hippies by the definition that they used back then of what a hippie was. It was a real mixed crowd, but I remember the music was loud. There was an energy here for sure that night.